guest of honor on the Sapien show is from the Orange City, Nagpur. The guest of honor, Architect.Ritu Deshmukh, is an academician with creative endeavor, a multifaceted and innovative professional. She has acquired bachelor's degree in architecture from Vishweshwarya Regional College of Engineering, Nagpur. Masters of Architecture from School of Planning and Architecture, New Delhi in 1995. She has been Masters in Architectural Conservation and Honors in 1995, School of Planning and Architecture, New Delhi. She was the in charge and conducted various Indo-French workshops in across various parts of cities of India. As a principal of Bharati Vidyapeeth Architectural College, she has conducted Indo-French workshops from year 2007 till 2020. She has conducted various workshops across the cities of India from year 2007 till 2020. She has been awarded for Education for Sustainable Model by South Korea and certification from UNESCO for the same. She has worked with the University of Hong Kong for Sustainable Township Planning with the Vadhva projects with students of various universities of Mumbai. In 2014, she has been invited as an expert speaker in IIT Mumbai and IIT Bhubaneswar. She is responsible for planning and designing various architectural conservation projects. These include architectural conservation works, listing in heritage sensitive area, work with Vidarbha Heritage Society Nagpur on listings the buildings of Nagpur. Today's title of the show is View Your Future from the Traditions. On the Sapien show, we have a creative, intellectual and innovative architecture of Mumbai, and she has been renowned across the globe. Please welcome Architect Ritu Deshmukh ma'am. Ma'am, welcome on the show.
Thank you.
As per the Indian architecture, ma'am, we have been started the architecture workflow long back in before 50 AD, like in Mohenjo-daro architectural workflow. So how Western have impacted the Indian culture of architecture, and how Indians should move in the next phase of their architectural workflow. Will you please explain me?
So our civilization has been a very, very old civilization. We were almost considered to be one of the cradles of a very big civilization that was known as Indus Valley civilization. And we were one of the three civilizations which had flourished across the globe. One is the Egyptian, one is the Chinese, and then we had the Indus Valley civilization. The entire history from then on till today has been one of layers. So India, you can't say that we are predominantly having an architectural style which is belonging to a particular community, religion or whatever. It's a layer by layer development which has happened from the beginning till date. And it has been after the advent of the Britishers into India that we were exposed to the Western culture. And this Western culture we have not been able to shed even after the Britishers have left us almost 75 years back. We are still following the same pattern and the same aspects that they have given to us, instead of relying on our traditional knowledge systems which have been given to us over a period of so many generations.
Will you please explain me the modern sustainable concept of architectural designs and the interior workflow in India? What is happening right now?
So answering this, I would like to say that again, our traditional knowledge systems had always used, reused and upcycled whatever resources we had at that time. Today, we are again relying on the Western knowledge systems, wherein we are trying to use things and then throw it away into the landfills. Our landfills are facing a lot of issues regarding the environmental impact they are creating, and all this is creating a detrimental impact on the quality of life of people. It would be advisable that we start using less of resources which are brought from far away, We would like to rely on the local resources, the aspects which are available close to our homes, as well as we can also rely on the way in which the interiors need to be promoted using sustainable materials, sustainable way of building, which will of course give you a quality of life which is better, as well as reduce the load on the sustainable resources of the planet Earth. These resources which we have are depletable, they are not extensive, they are not exhaustive, we are having a limited pool, and we need to take care that we do not now stress on using our aspirations as a way of depleting these resources. So that will be the take I would like to take on this aspect of sustainable concepts. Another thing which we need to keep in mind is that our health and our well-being is of utmost importance. So the kind of indoor air quality that we create for the interiors, and the way in which earlier we used to rely on the passive systems of cooling and not much on the air conditioning systems, will be more welcome now. It will create a much better living environment for people.
Ma'am, will you throw a light on the opinion of your concept, like on the special economic zone? Like, for example, in Mumbai, bylaws of the Brain Mumbai Municipal Corporation, to go through the whole process, it takes a tedious time and lots of money have been thrown. But if you take in same examples of the states like Telangana and Hyderabad, where the SEZ have been 100% open to the architectural workflow. So what is your call and what are your opinions on it?
Looking at the history of Maharashtra, Maharashtra has given to India the economic capital, that is Mumbai. It has always been a place where you have economic hot seat in this place, and all these aspects or the concepts started from Maharashtra. So special economic zone was first floated during the reign of uh, Vilasrao Deshmukh sir when he was CM, and that time this entire concept had come into play, but due to some reasons, as mentioned, the bureaucracy which was taking a lot of time to pass the resolutions and the paperwork which was involved, lot of companies shied away from this particular opportunity. It would have been a great opportunity for Maharashtra and for the people of Maharashtra in terms of employability, in terms of the various global companies which would have come here. So that development aspect is kind of missing now, but it can be revived if the wish of the bureaucracy is to speed up the process of giving the permissions or the necessary papers for the companies which are ready to come into Maharashtra and invest their time and effort into our state.
Uh, Indeed, it was an resourceful information, ma'am, since past 10 minutes we have been discussing. Will you please explain me what are the strong points of your in architectural planning and design?
So when I took up this career of architectural profession, I was the first in my family to take this particular protocol of doing this education. And I did not have any kind of background in terms of my family or my friends who were architects. So it was something which was an exploratory journey for me, wherein I learned from each one, everyone around me, and that led me to exploring the aspect of traditional knowledge systems and what our country has to offer in terms of our heritage and values, which of course led me to do masters in heritage conservation from Delhi. And after doing that, I came back to Nagpur and I started my practice, as well as working under some architects and engineers to develop some kind of framework for architectural heritage in Nagpur. I was also instrumental, along with one of my friends, to set up an NGO known as Vidarbha Heritage Society. So that was one area which I was trying to work on, that how can we learn from our history, how can we give this to our future generations and make it a point where we are proud of our heritage and our legacy. The major part of my architectural practice and education after I left even the master course was imparting this knowledge to the future generation. So I was an academician from 1995 onwards, and from then it's a journey of almost 27 years where I have been sensitizing students to learn more about your cultural value, heritage value, and your traditional knowledge systems, and to be proud of this legacy which has been left to us. My major focus of architectural practice is also revolving around the concepts of urbanism, wherein I am trying to let people know that yes, it is important to build, but how much, and what is the quality of building that you are giving to the society is equally important. The identity of the place is very, very relevant, because if you will see now, all these skylines in all the major parts of India or across the globe almost look same. So this identity of a place is lost because we are again looking to the west for answers, not looking within our country for all these architectural wonders that we have and the character that we have with us.
As we know, the architectural workflow was started with the timber, followed by stone, then RCC, and finally now we are in the era of a glass and aluminium. This concept have been put forward by the Western civilization on impact that has direct impact on the Indian civilization. What is your call to the modern architectural students and the professionals, and what should they think? Like, should they do to innovate the things? As India is a diverse climatic, India is in diverse climatic area. So, what is your opinion regarding it?
You're correct in assessing that we started from timber and now we are in the era where we are talking about aluminium glass as material. Of course, it is the typologies, the functional aspects that we are visualizing as architects for the cities and the places that we are designing for. What are the materials being used is dependent on what is the kind of visualization an architect is putting forth to his client, the aspirations of the client. Some clients come with a brief that I want something which is similar to what they have seen either in Singapore or US or their journey abroad. But there is one small advisory that I would like to give, that is, it's good to have these aspirational thoughts, these growth in terms of the materiality and all the, nowadays even the parametrics is coming, so there is fluidity in the architectural language that is being created. But it is also good if we can start thinking about how do we integrate nature and architecture, and in doing so what is the best material in that context that can be applied to this. So if you are in a hot desert condition, I think glass is not the advisory material which should be applied in that condition. It will be better to have stone, which will it is a local material of that place, or it will be even better if we can bring in some timber and grass or thatch and create some structure using mud, timber and thatch, which is the thing you will observe if you go to the deserts of Sam in Jaisalmer, where they are making the bungas which are made of mud, thatch and timber. So these are the kind of climate response that we should be encouraging. It is important that all architectural thoughts are oriented towards materiality and local resources of that materiality, and not blind following of what is the aspiration of people around that place, which imbibes cultures and materials which are not part of our culture. So that is something which is detrimental to the growth of that place as well. If you talk about the local traditions, the crafts of that place in terms of the construction techniques as well, it is important that these local traditions also need to go ahead. They are dying a slow death because our need for traditional construction techniques, materials is reducing. We are promoting materials which are mostly, as mentioned, inspired from the Western concepts and not part of our local resources. So it is always better that we encourage our future generation of architects to think about locally using the technology, climate responsiveness, and encouraging the way in which these aspirations of people can be integrated with the art and craft which we have been handed over by our ancestors.
As you mentioned our viewers about the ancestral craftsmanship, like we have been having granite craftsmanship who are making the granite stone and design on the stone through their hands. It is dying due to the western culture, I mean to say due to the machines and stuff. What the government of India should look into it? What is your call, and if yes, what are your workflows, and what are your suggestions to the government of India regarding the same?
So, regarding this question about the materials and the traditional craft systems, there is a process which is there, which is already initiated by the government of India related to the traditional arts and crafts. They are also encouraging the SMEs and MSMEs for kind of skill building activities from the government side. So I think all these craftsmen and the craftsmanship which we have, which is a dying art, should be put under that, and new generation should be encouraged to learn this skill so that this can be carried forward to the future generations. There is also a thought which is there in my mind that these traditional art and craft which have been a legacy need to be documented as well. They need to be put under a particular publication which is all available to people across the globe as an open source. And there is also the need for skill development courses which are targeting the use of local material, and especially the material like stone, which is having a lot of hard work going into making of it. But because of our um, importing of these machines and other things, we are trying to make this in a easier pattern, in a faster pattern, and accessible to all. So that side is of course welcome, but there has to be a balance which has to be struck with this art form which is handmade not dying a slow death. So that also has to be kept in balance, and we can, I think, work both hand in hand. So even the traditional system and the modern system can work together, wherein each one supports each other and not making a kind of a background wherein the other handmade stuff has to leave or has to die a slow death.
What are your opinions about the foreign collaborators?
The concept of collaboration is something which is not new for India. We have been collaborating with multiple countries for developing a country in multiple ways. The only hitch is that the local architects or the local partners should be a party to all this collaboration. I think it is a mandate of the government, and I find it in a lot of places where they are making it a mandatory thing to have a local partner when they are inviting foreign investors or foreign collaborators to come into India. Of course, I am for this foreign collaboration only to the extent that yes, we need their help to develop our technical know-hows, to upgrade our system of quality performance, and to also update our systems in terms of the development which is happening in their countries, which they are bringing to our country. So this upgradation is of course necessary, but in doing so, the local people, local architects or local engineers who also have some know-how of the place, who know the place in and out, should be kept into loop, should be in a position to be collaborating with these agencies, and should also benefit from all these engagement, so that at a later stage when they are in a position to take this project to another part of our country, they should be encouraged to do it.
Ma'am, will you please explain me how the architectural workflow as well as the interior designs have been evolved 1950, that's after independence?
As I mentioned earlier, also that after independence, we were struggling for some time to just experience the freedom from the Britishers and the colonizers who were here. So up to a point that we were trying to, just grapple into this concept of freedom after the so many years of oppression. But it was the vision of Jawaharlal Nehru that he wanted to bring in lot of foreign architects into India to plan the new cities of the free India. So he envisaged this city of Chandigarh, which began as a kind of legacy for how urban planning in India has to happen. And many of the architects at that time looked it up to this particular model of settling or planning in India. After a period of time, there were some architects like Achyut Kanvinde and Charles Correa, B.V. Doshi, who came up with the idea that, of course, learning from the West is a good idea, but then you have to integrate this with the knowledge which we have of our own culture and the ethos of the climatic zone that we are building in. So you have some good examples from these architects who very sensitively handled the way in which architectural vocabulary has to be developed in India. Come to the 80s and 90s, where the globalization happened during the time of Rajiv Gandhi, and we had a flood of materials, and the market were also flooding with lot of ideas of new typologies of structures. And in this phase, we have seen a use of the concrete, glass, and aluminium coming to the forefront. So this is the time when you will see a shift from the integration of the traditional and modern architecture to a purely modern look which people aspired for and which architects also visualized for the cities. So this is the time up to 2010 that you will find an integration of glass and concrete into the system of architecture, and many of the cities have seen that spurring of these structures in their architectural vocabulary. So here I would like to say that this kind of shift which has happened has been a major shift which has given rise to nameless structures which have no identity. You can put this structure in Punjab, you can put this structure in Maharashtra, you can put this structure in south of India, and it will all look the same. So is this the kind of architectural language that we want to build for our future? Is this the kind of identity that we are looking at? Or we are looking at regionalizing the identity through sensitive architecture, talking about the place and the people of that place. So I find it very interesting that after 2015, the recent architectural practices have shown that sensitivity, and there are a lot of young architects who are now talking about sustainability, resilience, and climate responsiveness. So that is again a kind of good development that is happening in the architectural practices. I have also seen multiple architectural practices shifting to materials which are not the conventional materials, that is not talking about RCC, glass, or steel. They are now shifting their practices to bamboo, mud, and stone, and encouraging the new generation to think about this also, because this is the need of the hour. We need to take care of our resources, we need to take care of the non-conventional ways of building as well.
Ma'am, will you please explain me what should be the aspirations for the architecture students and how they can move towards their career goal?
With the new NEP, that is the National Education Policy that the government is envisaging, which is a long due call, because the way in which the education system in India was structured, it was asking everybody to learn everything which is there in the curriculum. And in doing so, many of the aspirants had some difficulties in maybe learning one particular subject, like you mentioned, maths, or any other subject, and there was a restriction that only if you know this subject are you allowed to do this profession. But I don't think a talented person needs to be restricted with the knowledge base or a particular curriculum base for learning that profession. So it would be advisable if students now start understanding what the new education policy is, and it is meant to integrate multiple disciplines. So now I think there'll be more flexibility in terms of learning and educating in multidisciplinary sense. So even architecture will now be looking at a more interdisciplinary approach. So we will not only talk about the technical terms, we will also talk about the arts, crafts, we will also be engaging with some other aspects of the society. So all this together will be the kind of future I see for architectural education, wherein it will be more integration of your knowledge base and development of your skill base, rather than you developing a skill base to a particular skill set and then coming into architecture. So I don't think that will be the way in which future of architectural education is going to move.
Ma'am, recently you have won Best Design Award for C.R.E.A.D.H.L.E, one of the sustainable toilet design workflow. And will you please explain me the future plans of your as an architectural workflow as well as a profession?
So Cradle is in long form, if I say, it's a center for inquiry, action, and research and development of heritage, landscape, and environment. This is the baby which was born during the COVID times, when I was having a little time to introspect and think about what best can I give to the society. I found that everybody in the architectural profession is moving to a siloed approach. Of course, it's a good way of moving, but then when you're looking at a society at large, you need to move together as a comprehensive team and taking multidisciplinary approach to practice as well. That's what led me to initiate this foundation, Cradle. English, Cradle also means giving birth, nurturing, and giving new ideas to the society, or in terms of baby, it's like a baby which we are giving to the society, an idea which can grow to a play or to a point where it gives back the fruits of the thought which I have initiated at the inception. So I think this was the apt foundation name which I could think of. And the whole idea of Cradle was to generate a lot of new ideas. And in doing so, we got into this international idea competition, where we were given the Editor's Choice Award for the toilet design, which was based on sustainable ideas. So, that innovative idea, whatever we could give back to the society, and if anybody is ready to take this up for projects or for fruition, it will be most welcome. So, that is the whole idea what we are trying to develop through Cradle, that it needs to be a place where you can explore ideas, where you can generate new ways of living sustainably on this planet.
Ma'am, what is your opinion about the rivers and heritage settlement in India?
According to me, the rivers are the cradle of civilization. They have been here since ages, and they have given birth and also destroyed a lot of civilizations. So, Indus Valley civilization, if you know of, it has been built on the same place for 14 times, and every time this settlement was flooded, again the people built it on the same location because of the advantages they were having in that location. Now, all these rivers have been given to us by nature, and we should be feeling blessed that we have this natural resource with us, which provides us water, as well as provides us a lot of other activities which are associated with water, like agriculture and developing so many aspects of trade and communication through using these rivers. Unfortunately, after the Britishers came into India, we were exposed to the water systems which were coming through the pipes, and all the connection between the river and the settlement suddenly broke, and that connection was not so strong. So it will be important in the future times that we build up this connection. There are certain cities in India which are still having this connection. For example, Varanasi, which has a very strong connection of the settlement and the river, through the ghats, through the religious practices, through the various aspects of the ritual of death which happens on the ghats. So all these intangibles or the activities which are not part of the space building activity is something we need to take care of, nurture, and we need to keep for the future generation as well. And this is a kind of a cultural identity that we have, which we need to take care of. And of course, the rivers itself is something we need to take care of, because we are throwing lot of pollutants into the river. We are also kind of keeping our backs to the river. Our cities are growing in a phase where we are not having riverfront development. We are preferring to have a nala type of development for the rivers. Case in point is the Mithi River in Mumbai, where you have the river now almost flowing as a nala at our backyards. So nobody has anything building on the riverfront in Mumbai. But these resources, these natural features that we have should be now revived, should be brought back to the lost glory, and should be kept as natural as possible, because these are the things which avoid the flooding which happens in Mumbai, and which is a kind of lifeline we should look at of sustainable practices in India. I would just advise that we should not take the model of Sabarmati River. I have no political points to say, but that is a kind of a concrete channel which we have created of a non-existent river, and we have said that that is the model for rivers of India. But I don't think that is the correct model. We should encourage the natural flow of rivers without binding it through some man-made elements. A case in point is the Trembak River in Nashik, where the government had concretized the banks of the river, which led to flooding of the city, and now they have broken those concrete bank embankments to revive or restore the original flow of the river. I think that is the place where we need to work more. There is another point which I would like to make. Along with the rivers, we also need to take care of the soil which is around the river. It is a very, very good soil. You know, all the civilizations have come up, mushroomed along the river because of the alluvial soil, which could promote agriculture, which could promote the food for the settlements. So these are some of the points we need to take into town planning, into the planning policies, and into the heritage policies of our country.
We are being very happy to have you on the show. Please do like, share and subscribe the channel. On the Sapien show powered by Dentmed Research and Journals Private Limited. Do connect us on Telegram. The link is below in the description box.